House of the Dragon proved that Westeros still has a ton of exciting stories left to tell. What can fans expect from Season 2? Well, the aftermath of a certain death will definitely come into play. Rhaenyra's revenge. You just don't mess with Rhaenyra Targaryen. The finale of Season 1 saw one of Rhaenyra's children, Lucerys, battling it out with his uncle Aemond in the sky. I'd been itching for a full-fledged dragon battle since the start of the season, and let me just say, that scene gave me everything I could have hoped for. However, the aftermath of this fearsome fight left Lucerys dead, and that's not something Rhaenyra's gonna let slide. Tensions were already high between Rhaenyra and Alicent. Her childhood friend was pretty sore about Rhaenyra's kids taking Aemond's eye, and she wasn't even able to get her revenge. Aemond might have taken things a step too far by outright killing his nephew, so Rhaenyra could try to level the scales by taking one of Alicent's kids out in return. Die-hard fans who have read Fire and Blood probably already know what happens next. A dangerous pair of assassins from the book will be critical to Rhaenyra's plans for vengeance. I don't want to give away too much, but let me just say this. These assassins bear the nicknames Blood and Cheese, and they'll set off an incredible series of events in Season 2. They haven't yet been introduced on the show, but we doubt the writers will waste any time bringing them on and moving the storyline along. That said, Lucerys wasn't Rhaenyra's only son on a mission. She had also sent her eldest, Jacaerys, up to a northern citadel that we've all been waiting to see. A return to Winterfell. It's funny how Winterfell barely got a mention in Season 1, especially since it was the heart and soul of Game of Thrones. I have a feeling that the writers were biding their time to set things up properly, which is why they didn't reveal anything about Jace's trip to the home of the Starks. Besides, there was too much happening on Luke's side of things to give the Winterfell storyline the attention it deserved. Now that Luke's no longer with us, we'll probably start the season with Jace finally making it to Winterfell. That means that we're gonna get to see our favorite Northern House back in action. In case you're wondering, the ruler of Winterfell at that time was Cregan Stark. A master swordsman and a widely respected ruler, Cregan could be just the ally that the Blacks need. Also, book fans will know that Jace and Cregan have a very interesting storyline together. Their relationship ends up changing Jace's whole story arc, so I'd bet big money that we'll get a glimpse of that. Now, while all of this is happening, Rhaenyra might lose sight of the big picture. Even though she promised to uphold her father's dying wish of keeping the kingdom whole, her feud with Alicent just keeps escalating, and this eye for an eye mentality can only mean one thing: a bloody end to Viserys' dream. Poor old Viserys. Even after his death, he just can't seem to catch a break. Fans will remember how he spent most of the first season struggling to keep his kingdom together. We could already see the cracks forming in the Targaryen dynasty, and they just kept getting bigger as the season progressed. He would have hoped that his daughter and wife would be able to set their differences aside, but it sadly wasn't meant to be. The bad blood between the former best friends is only gonna get worse now that Aemond has killed Lucerys. With the fate of the Seven Kingdoms in the balance and alliances forming all around, the stage is set for a bloody civil war that could bring a disastrous end to Viserys' dream. Among all of this turmoil, certain characters might be able to move up in the world. Otto Hightower is currently sitting pretty as the Hand of the King, but it might not be for long. His biggest rival could end up being a certain knight who just keeps failing upwards. The rise of Ser Criston. I'll say one thing about Ser Criston: the guy sure knows how to get ahead. Despite being incompetent, petty, and all-round hateful, Ser Criston has come a long way from being Rhaenyra's lover. He's now Alicent's most trusted advisor, especially after her father let her down. Otto Hightower might have the king's ear right now, But we've got to remember that he's not exactly the smartest cookie. With the Valerians and Starks on Rhaenyra's side, Otto's gonna have his work cut out for him if he wants to keep his grandson on the throne. He's not nearly as good at political subterfuge as he thinks he is. Remember, his actions in Season 1 nearly got his daughter and grandchildren killed, and they also led to him getting exiled. I fully expect the guy to bite off more than he can chew and make things worse for the Greens. At that point, Aegon will have no choice but to replace his grandfather. And who do you think he'll pick for the job? It's not like he'd have a lot of options, so it's pretty likely he'll go with Criston. After all, the guy might be crazy, but at least he's loyal. If this were to happen, I'm willing to bet he'd be an extremely cruel Hand of the King. His hatred for Rhaenyra and the power of this position would make for a dangerous mix. Aegon might tolerate him, since he needs all the help he can get. Unfortunately, there's a good chance that another dragon rider might join Rhaenyra's side, and you'll never guess who could play him. The Man of Steel as Lord Hugh Hammer. The Targaryens have been pretty busy ever since they united the Seven Kingdoms, but not in the way you'd expect. Over the centuries, the descendants of Valyria have spawned countless bastards, and it's kinda hard to miss them with that platinum blonde hair. They don't have it quite as bad as the bastards of other houses though. For one thing, they get to call themselves Dragon Seeds. In the book, there's a specific dragon seed who enters the fray and ends up riding the second biggest dragon in Westeros. That's right, there's a new character who could make his way to our screens, and he might lay claim to Vermithor himself. Calling himself Hugh Hammer, this guy plays a pivotal role in the Dance of the Dragons, which is the name given to the civil war that's now brewing. The thing to know about Lord Hammer is that he's a big guy, which makes sense, cause it takes a massive dude to ride a dragon like Vermithor. Can you think of someone tall and strong who's already sported some platinum locks on a fantasy TV show? Let me answer that for you in 2 words. Henry Cavill. He was probably the only good thing about The Witcher, and I really doubt anyone's gonna watch that show now that Cavill's out of the picture. The good thing about his departure is that it frees him up for some new projects. And wouldn't it be great if he gets the role of Hugh Hammer in Season 2? He might not want the job though, since it would mean joining yet another fantasy adaptation. Still, a guy can dream, can't he? Cavill would bring some real star power to the show, and it's not like HBO can't afford to bring him on. These were some of the top theories for House of the Dragon Season 2. See you in the next video.